Okay, so we're moving on to the part of the Boston podcast where it's not necessarily gambling. So maybe, we'll get more to the gambling stuff or maybe a few gambling questions a little bit later. But I wanted to get some like Boston thoughts from you guys because I feel like, and I don't know, like if this is a perception across the country or maybe it's just because we are like so inundated with like the Patriots late in the past like 20 years and Boston's having good success across different sports. But like, do you guys find fans of Boston area teams as annoying as the general public does?
I mean, some of them is the I don't
All
I
fans
guess
are annoying if their
yeah, I
teams
think
are good.
Yeah.
fans
They're
are just
either
annoying. They're just fans everywhere are just annoying. Like go to every Reddit, every subreddit for every team is like basically the same. And they make like every NFL team subreddit, their quarterback is great, their coach is horrible, and then any other player is good or bad depending on what happened in the last game. I like
I
NBA
think
subreddits are best players the best, and like it's totally not having enough help, and everybody else sucks or cheats or flops. Uh, it's just and it's like these are people from like all across the country, all around the world, and they all still like they think exactly the same. It doesn't
yeah.
matter.
I also like I'm just like pretty annoying in general. I'm a little brother, so like I kind of lean into like what I don't. I tweeted something the other day about like it really sucks when both your teams are playing a championship the same and like within 2 months. Like it's like a real hard. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. Like I just like I don't know. My teams are
Yeah,
like,
you're just
do I
goofing
have to
around.
be like
Yeah,
humble when
yeah,
their teams are? Then why am I rooting for them? Like every time they lose, I want to like just walk the dogs and never come home. But like I can't be like annoying and happy when they win. No, I absolutely like Boston
you let
fans
it rip.
are. It's like a pretty abrasive part of the country, and the teams win a shitload of stuff. And like, yeah, they're annoying. And I think you have a note in here about Bill Simmons. Like my big thing is like I would say our public fandom. Not we do not have great representation.
So
Uh,
bad.
it's real bad. Yeah, like there are some cool Lakers fans, like Knicks, like or whatever. Like, but man, being like people that I don't know that like sending me Bill Simmons stuff, like being like, "Hey, how about your boy?" And I'm like, "This can't like, come on,
So not my
man."
boy. So
Just
not my boy.
Chatham on Twitter will always send me the best of the Russillo and
The
Simmons
Simmons
stuff because
pods.
they're both from up there, and like all of my Ben Simmons or I mean, Bill Simmons content I get is from people clipping the most ridiculous shit he says and putting it on Twitter, and like that's my extent, and it's just like it's ridiculous, and like I think if he's carrying the flag for Boston fans, then I get even more like honestly people should be like violent to us then if that's who like is like the designated like, people should be worse to us than they are. But I don't I don't see it as like much different than any other team except like
That's
or
true.
any other fan base except it's just our public facing guys are not great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah, I
that's
think
kind of where it comes from. Go ahead,
yeah,
Brian.
and I think success breeds some of that too.
Sure.
What am I like?
Because
Good game, Golden State. Like, no, I'm gonna like
Yeah.
say Steph Curry is a Kevin Durant merchant, and that he's
Bang.
yeah. I was just gonna be like, he should have to go by Wardell now. Like, no one should call it like he's done, he's finished. Jason Tatum,
well,
but like that's annoying. I would guess to other fan bases.
well, and yeah, and if, like the one person who comes to mind during games that's like that could be like annoying, but like in a good way is Sports by John. He's like following like the Chiefs or like the
Jim's boy.
or the Rockets or something like that, and
I love John. Yeah, John is a good friend of mine. Yeah. I like any person who's like a normal person is like self-aware that when they're a fan, they're
yeah,
Definitely,
terrible.
they're being insane, and he definitely is. I think
Yeah.
yeah. I
uh,
think to certain degrees, people might be playing like characters or something
for
on
sure.
here, like a wrestling persona of sorts.
I will
Um,
say to close that loop, like Simmons is like a bigger part of it than people realize because he is like probably like one of the most well-known people in like all sports media across the country and has been talking like nationally about Boston for 20 years. Um, and I think like a lot of at least people who write on the internet or are terminally online like actively root against Boston sports in part because of him and like him being happy if they win.
I think I sometimes do too.
Yeah,
Like
I think
get
I
bummed
think
out.
I'm way too much. I'm way too online. I get in a weird parasocial relationships with people and do dumb shit like that.
Oh yeah, and I'll root against. I'm like, I don't want Bill to be happy. Like, I need them to lose it. Like, if he's like, I'm going to this game, I'm like, all right, we lose that one. That's fine. Like, him and his dad walk home sad as shit, and he like podcasts about it. That's fine. I'm cool with that. I will say, like, my last gripe about Boston sports, I think fans are insane across the board. Covered that. I will say that Boston media, not just Bills, but like the local media, is one of the most like contentious relationships I've seen between teams and media in any market. And it kind of comes from that success, but like you look at like Shank talking about the Red Sox or Bob Ryan or like you look about them talking about Tom Brady. I remember I was like watching something and like they were saying that Brady was a loser because he had long hair and married Giselle. They literally were like blaming marrying Giselle, like saying like it's just like it's like a uniquely like every story has to be driven by like, are they ever going to be as good as all these historically great teams? And like that's what the foil is. So like the second you are like ingrained in Boston media, it is like you have to be kind of rooting for the failure to get the clicks, to get the views. And that's not unique necessarily in sports media, but like there's a reason Bill is like also, well, he's just an asshole in general, but like to some of the sports media, like look at any piece they write on him like over the year. Like no one is it's not currying favor to get inside access in Boston, right? Like there's enough access into these locker rooms and stuff that they're getting. It's literally just like, has Bill lost his touch if they start like 0-2 like after winning a Super Bowl, right? Like every time. So it's like, okay, they're already at the top, you got to root for them to fail, and that's part of the media. That's really the only part of Boston fandom that like, and being out of market helps out a lot. Like I don't have to listen to WEEI radio. I don't have to listen to Lou Merloni or like Felger and Maz or anyone. They're just god awful human beings.
Ripping the team. Yeah, it's just super toxic and it's not a good environment.
Yeah, so it's easier for you guys to avoid because you two are out of market too. So
I just follow on Twitter.
So you guys can both like kind of
shout out Twitter.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you guys already touched base on Simmons. So I wanted to get like, cause I've only been to the Boston area once and it was like a very brief period. So like, I didn't really dabble, like, and I think I was only 19, so I didn't really dabble in anything like, in Boston itself, but I kind of wanted to go, I had like a little list of like Boston stuff here, like favorites, least favorites, overrated, under, but whatever. So in terms of like the Boston sporting venues that you guys have gone to, I'm presuming maybe you guys have gone to most, if not maybe all of them, I don't know. But what's your favorite one to watch a game at, or is there any that you like would say like, I really don't care about that place?
I think Fenway's dog shit. Stinks.
It's just not. It was the
It's
coolest thing in the world when
stadium.
I was like 11, because I think baseball was my favorite thing in the world. And I was like, it's so cool, it's so big. All the books about like baseball history I was obsessed with when I was 10 like came to life there. And now you go and it's like this place is a shithole.
It's real bad.
It's so bad. It's like I'd much rather just hang out at the bars around the area and like party with everyone.
Fenway, the area is actually pretty fun.
Yeah, Fenway's the only one I went to, and I mean, it's like it's like 100-year-old stadium now. So like, you know,
I mean, it's cool to go once, but if you're going to like 15 games a year, it's like, it's awful.
Getting to it sucks. Like if you're not local, like the whole
seats
process.
are too small. They face right field. My dad like literally couldn't fit in the seats and would be like craning his neck to the left of the bad back to watch these games back in. Like,
I do remember the awkward seating.
It's just
and that was like 20 years. That was 20 years ago. So I'm guessing they probably haven't remodeled it that much in 20 years.
No, and the Patriots play like 45 minutes outside Boston, and there's just one road to get in and out, Route 1, 1A. I don't know. Because
that sounds pretty miserable.
It's the worst. It's the worst. I mean, we used to take the train down from Boston, but that would also
nice
be
stadium,
especially before. It's fine. It's like a giant strip mall around
it.
I think a bunch of like, I don't know, generic bars.
I think TD is nice. I actually like going to a Bruins game. You don't like it?
No, I hadn't been to a game in 5 years. We went back for game 4 of the Heat series, me and my brother, and it's like the whole area is completely different. It's so nice. They play really nice. Giant development. It's sick. Yeah, I mean, we used to go over there. That was like
you would only go when the game started. Like, We would actually go out and like go to the Harp when we were like 23, because it was like a bar that like every 23-year-old would go to. But there wasn't a lot going on. World's greatest bar.
Yeah, the greatest bar Sully's Tap. But like if you're like if you're like a working pro now, there's more reason to go over to the area, I think, and before you go to a game than there used to be. They've done
Yeah.
a good job.
Yeah, I think I'm excited. I'm going to game 3 and 4 this
Okay.
week, and so I'm going to be in the area for it. Same buddy, and like super pumped to be in that area. Like really nice. They did a good job. So I think like that one to me is fun. But if like
Easy to get to.
yeah, I think I see one here, your favorite pubs or restaurants to watch a game. I think if you really want to get like a real taste of like Boston, like degeneracy, stats on an NFL Sunday is a great place to go. Cause it's like it's like quintessential Southie, like grow. I think it still is. I like last I had heard.
is.
So it's like almost like a meme to people like going to stats
Yeah,
on
like
Sunday.
you get. I mean, it's like the all-time Sunday
It-
funny bar up in the area, and it's just a bunch
If
of,
you're
like,
like if you're looking for like the
party.
yeah, visitor guide of like where are people watching like Pat's game on a Sunday, and like you want to hear someone not say the like ours, I think that'd be a funny recommendation.
Okay, so like in terms of like I mentioned like you know, your favorite venues, but have you guys seen like any of the memorable moments in person, like you know, whether it be the talk rule or anything like
I went to
Let's
the Ravens playoff game, the double pass game, the comeback game,
okay.
That's
where
awesome.
like I won't like I'll like leave this short, but like the Pats were successful forever, but there was a decade there where they didn't win a Super Bowl, and all you heard was no Super Bowl since Spygate. And like they won their last one when I was just young enough, and like I like watched it and like shrugged, was like, yep, they win every year, that's cool. And then like by the time a decade later came, I was like a raving lunatic. I was like, they need to win a fucking Super Bowl or I'm gonna lose my mind.
Yeah.
And so like that game, like I basically blacked out from excitement.
Good
at it,
old
like,
Joe
a
Flacco
couple
dueling.
different times. Yeah, he was. And I mean, it was like 10 degrees. I went down there with all my friends. Probably like the best game I'll ever attend. It was like an incredible game, and also I was like more invested in the result as a fan than it like I might ever be for anything moving forward. Just because you get older and like shit changes a little bit. That one was sick.
That's a really good one. Damn. I have actually a bad record of going to Boston games because they always lose.
Don't go. Don't. Give
yeah,
me your
I
tickets.
know.
Give me your tickets this week.
I'm willing to take that chance for an NBA Finals game. But maybe actually talk to me for game 4 if game 3 goes bad. But I did get to see, speaking of, I went to game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Cleveland Cavaliers. The game that they lost by 40 points. Maybe one of the biggest I've ever
I was
been.
also at that game.
That one was
which
that's
is like
a
the
low
one
point.
playoff game I've ever been to, or one of the onlys. Yeah, they were down 50 in the first half, right?
I
LeBron
respect that because everyone was so drunk. It was a Friday night game. I was up there with sisters graduating grad school, and I was gonna be with my family all day the next day. And me and my buddy splurged on tickets to like go to a place with an open bar, and just like they lost the game like quarter 1, so you just got annihilated the whole game. And every time LeBron was ever on camera or acknowledged or had the ball, you just went nuts booing him like annoying Boston fan. And it honestly, like, it was pretty fun, all things considered. But I did get
Once
to go
you assume
see.
they're gonna lose, you're just like, okay, let's lean into this.
Yeah. I was like, all right, now I'm just gonna get tanked. I don't have to worry about like remembering the third quarter. So I worked very hard on that. I got to see a Mo Vaughn walk off when I was like,
That's sick.
way younger.
Deep cut.
Like 95, and barely remember it, but that one I loved Mo Vaughn. I was just like, this dude's so
Nice.
fat playing baseball. This is awesome. Like, how is he an athlete?
Like when baseball was king.
Yeah, Mo Vaughn, because I feel like every person around our age that lived in this area is gonna be like, my dad loved the Sox. Like everyone's dad loved the Sox, and was just like so miserable. And it's so funny for us because it's like the Sox like randomly popped off like a World Series in like 2018 that I forget about. Like, and they were like living and dying with every at bat in 2004, like ready to just like end it all. And so I do remember the Mo Vaughn walk off was like
a good one.
big
I
one.
like
And
that one.
yeah, I think that was around that when Pedro was on those teams. I think Pedro's probably the best pitcher I've seen live in my life, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
Was that in
Um,
Boston?
Um,
Brian,
what's that?
was that in Boston?
No, it was in Chicago. I
Yeah,
think it might have been
gotcha.
It might have been. it might have been like Burley versus him, or I don't
Oh,
think
nice.
Cologne was on the team. I think it might have been Burley. I'm not sure.
I forgot
But
you're a White Sox guy, right?
yeah. So, so yeah, I've seen the White Sox in a few different venues. Yeah, I've gone to Detroit, Kansas City, but yeah, never to like. I went to Boston, but it was just a random game. It was a year that we went on a 12-day, 12-game road trip, but we couldn't
Sick.
fit in
Give
Boston.
John Henry
So
a cent. I will
so we
not give
flew-
that man a cent
Yeah, I
anymore.
can't blame you. The worst.
Mookie
So-
Betts, my guy.
yeah, so okay, so the last thing I'm kind of skipping over some things, but in terms of Boston cocktails or beers, like I know you were talking about some Sammy that you were drinking the other day, Kevin, but
Sam
like
Summers.
like do you have is that your go-to, like is if you had to choose like one
Harpoon is fine
There's a
too.
couple good harpoons. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not like obsessed with them, but they're good.
okay
I toned
think-
down my drinking just like a lot for
okay
health stuff over the last like 3 or 4 years.
And
So
are- and
I'm
is-
kind of out of the cycle, but I do like a good harpoon or a
Okay.
Sam Summy.
and are
Brian-
they is there any Boston like cocktails like liquor wise that they're known for? I have no idea.
Baked bean martini.
Yeah, like I no. My
No.
short answer is no. Like
I feel like if you ask for a Boston cocktail anywhere that was like authentic Boston, you'd just get laughed at.
is there Brian? Is there a Chicago cocktail?
Rum and Coke.
Well, I think the Chicago one that like
Hey, give me an example.
that gets thrown onto people is probably well, I wouldn't say
Oh,
it's
Malort.
a cocktail. It's a shot, Malort. Yeah,
Ugh.
Malort.
That's like a punishment more than a.
It is. It
drink.
kind of is. And I've only had it once, and I think I'm never gonna have it again.
I mean, so I guess going off that, like, I think everywhere in the country has this. You're a pretty big beer guy, Brian. I think there's a good number of like sort of smaller breweries that have popped up in the Boston area that are.
I'm
pretty
sure there
good.
have. Yeah,
I don't know.
Dr.
Tree-
McGillicuddy's. That's
yeah,
the one.
Ooh, it's really good. Okay, yeah, I take.
Bro-
Yeah, that's a good one. too.
The doctor
Okay.
is the one I would say, like, if we're gonna Malort made me think of it again, probably
Okay.
closer to a punishment than like what you would want to
I
drink.
actually kind of like the taste of Dr. McGillicuddy.
It's not bad. Peppermint schnapps, like as a whole,
Yeah,
is
I
like
like
a
that
tolerable shot.
that sounds familiar. I didn't realize that was Boston.
Yeah, doctor.
Okay.
Dr.
Um,
McGillicuddy's.
Brian, yeah, have you heard of Treehouse? I don't know. They're pretty.
I don't
well
think
known.
so,
Like,
no.
Treehouse, and then Heady Topper's the beer. I think that's in Vermont technically. that
Okay.
Nobody. That's always running on a. It's like impossible to get, and it's like a collector's item almost. Those
Okay.
are a couple that.
I need
Sure.
If you're
to.
ever in the
Stank
area, you
some.
can try to try it. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to do I need to do an
Ooh.
exchange with somebody
Go to
from that area.
Portland
so-
is a good. Portland's a good
Portland's
area
big
too.
beer. Yeah, good beer city.
Okay.
But yeah, I
Um,
mean, otherwise just like shitty beer and shitty bars, or at least that's how it used
I
to be.
feel
in
like
that
people
double-
drink way more rum and cokes up there than anywhere
You
I've
can tell
gone.
me on. You can tell me on that. Yeah. A lot of
Yeah, someone
actually,
ordered
yeah.
like a Captain Morgan drink when I was with them last time. I'm like, I didn't even know they made like that. We are in our 30s, man. You got to clean that up. That is not a real order. And I'm not like a drink snob. That's not like a drink snob thing. It's just like
No,
I
it's
can't
just
believe
like-
people still drink Captain. Like that's
No,
like
I-
wild.
Can't be
People-
hanging like that.
with
Yeah, I
dinner.
hear you there.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, I normally the only time I'll have hard alcohol is usually like on a fantasy football hosting session here at the house.
All right.
And
Like a draft.
yeah, like a fantasy
That's
draft
when you
outside.
kick in the hard liquor. I love that. Like
Yeah,
we better finish this draft before I get obliterated.
yeah,
That's-
we had when my parents were moving out, they had this I don't know if
Very
any
good.
of your parents had any of the whiskey or alcohol that was like in like fish bottles, or like, you know, it was like, I don't know, it was or no, it was a fucking Volkswagen, like it had like a
wow.
yeah, it was from like the
Like a
1960s.
collector's
At-
item.
At that point, it was aged like 100 months, but like I looked it up, it was only like 30 something bucks, so it wasn't worth like flipping.
Yeah.
I figured the memory of like drinking something like that would be
For
better
sure.
than like
Also probably like aged into like
Oh,
Everclear
God.
at that point.
Dust.
I peeled the cork. The cork's like crumbling into the liquor.
Good,
Like,
good.
you know,
That's what you want.
it was, yeah. I don't drink a lot of liquor. That's kind of like, you know, that's usually my one.
The
one day a
rare
year. Um,
liquor from 1960s is when we
yeah.
busted out for the fantasy draft.
So yeah, like 60-year-old whiskey. So, but all right. So let's go. We only had a couple listener questions here. One of them is from our buddy Spoon here, asking if you guys were ashamed of beating crippled teams while getting the world's friendliest whistles. And I guess you could kind of talk about like maybe last night because you probably don't think the rest whistles were very friendly.
I have been like weirdly focused on the refs this whole playoffs. I think like basketball reffing in general is just like lagged behind the quality of play, and like it's just very inconsistent. And then like, why do we know refs' names? I guess you know
Seven,
everything.
like 7 or 8 of them are like casual fans, like
Scott
brothers.
Foster,
Scott
yeah,
Foster,
Tony
obviously,
Brothers.
Zach Zarba, like the
I
people
shouldn't
have
know
heard of these
This many
guys.
people.
Yeah, it's bad, like so bad. Like the NFL, you know them because they like put their names up there, and like Ed Hockley's announcing things while he's like flexing and doing push.
I was gonna say he curls 100-pound weights, but like Tony Brothers, I saw a video of a guy just walking down the street who recognized Tony Brothers. I'm like, that's
insane.
Seems like, and like people, like I've had people who like don't follow or like, oh, what are you doing? Like Scott Foster's on a game. Do you like penalize like Chris Paul? I'm like, no, but like, why do you know that? Like, that's not good.
I mean, that's the thing too. It's a huge gambling angle. Now that gambling's like so public here in America, I think there's a lot of people who are very in tune with like the ref trends and the ref stats. Like the Celtics are 1-14 in their last 13 games with this guy or whatever.
Zach Zarba, he was the guy last night. Yeah, and then we also played some of like the foul baitiest players of all, like maybe not bait, but like Giannis is just a really hard person to officiate, and
Impossible.
he plays like he's like a fullback. And then Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry are like the grift kings, and like the Celtics players dribble like it's a bar of soap, and it's like they're just particularly bad at grifting. And so like that combination has made watching some of this officiating fairly stressful. Last night, like, yeah, it's just like weird. I think like the Draymond thing, it's weird, but I think Spoon is just super happy for us and Boston's success. I feel like he's just like really reaching out just to let us know that.
Deep down,
he told me Tatum was going to be in Cancun like a month ago, and he happened to grave dig a take I had on the Atlanta Hawks from like
is it like Trae Young or something?
Yeah, I said the Atlanta Hawks weren't going to be good last year, and they made the Eastern Conference Final, and he found the tweet from like 8 months prior where I said that, and I'm not going to return the favor, but if I were to do that, I would say that you said Jason Tatum was going to be out of the playoffs like a month ago. He's still playing. Just like that's what I would do if I were that type of guy. I'm not.
Yeah, if you were, not that you posted that in the comment of the reply or anything, but yeah,
exactly.
If you were,
I would not do that.
Yeah,
doesn't sound like me.
Okay, the next one was I guess directed towards Jim here, asking Sebow if he's coming back to Boston to drink with Kevin and I for one of the games.
Should.
I really want to. We have a wedding this weekend, so we'll see.
All right.
I will say, so I met Benny once in person, almost
I love that story.
4.5 years ago. Yeah. I mean, this was like when I sort of started figuring out how to like do well gambling. I would usually like do all the NFL stuff and then go watch the games at a bar, and then like just like kind of have like myself a celebration of like one, like I'm winning, and two, like feeling financially free and like finding some way to make money that's not just a job. Like felt so sick, so I just wanted to party. We were at like a bar near Fenway and talking, and I guess just like mid conversation, I fell asleep in like the middle. It was like the late afternoon. It was not like late at night.
And
knocked.
Benny texted me. He's like, "Dude, went out to drink with our guy Sebow." I was like, "That's awesome." Like Benny and like Jim, I've been talking to for like a long time. Like Boston fans, blah blah. And I've hung out with Benny a bunch, and he unfortunately has some just rough stories about me from back when I was drinking more. So didn't fall asleep, but I almost wish I had instead of speaking. And he's like, yeah, Sebow, like he's with his laptop, like still, like I think you had your backpack at the bar because you were like finishing up some NFL betting.
I'm like the one gugue apparently who's ever brought a backpack to a bar, but yeah, that is usually my my cue.
I do that too. I do that too
all the time.
Like during the week. I'll take, there's like a bar you can bring dogs, and like I'll bring my laptop and do work, whatever, fine. But yeah, he's like, yeah, but he's zonked, like he's out cold, like yeah, so like that is my guy. So
then, yeah, came to, and I was like, my bad, dude. I think I tried to sober up.
We're trying to recreate that this weekend for game 4, but I understand wedding season is.
I mean, yeah, early 30s. It's like it's out of control, right?
Every weekend.
Yeah, I'm phased out of that. Like, yeah, I hit that peak like 5 or 6, 7, maybe 6, 7 years ago.
Nice.
So yeah, it's that I know what you're talking about though.
This weekend is sandwiched in between 2 weddings for me, so
Okay.
I got lucky.
Okay. All right. So that was the end of the listener questions. I reorganized the pod here, so because I know Kevin said he wanted to hear Sebow rant
All
about
right.
Curry a
My
little
guy,
bit. So
my guy Jim does not like Steph Curry, and this isn't a Boston related thing.
No, it's not.
This it cracks me up because there's another guy's Rob Zone on
He loves him so
Twitter
much, which is
who
fine.
loves Curry so much.
Such a
And
big
I sometimes their tweets are like next to each other and they're so good because it's just like, oh, how about that piece of shit who can't win without KD? And like, is Steph better than Michael Jordan? Just like back to back tweets. It's incredible. But Jim, not a Steph guy.
Okay. And this really
Where did
goes
this
back.
originate from?
I
Just
mean,
at least give me this.
Yeah, sure. It starts again. Like I think you can objectively say now that he's probably around like the top 15 player in the history of the league, right? The offensive impact is second to none. Like, and all that is, I can admit, like the analyst side of me can admit that being true, but the fan side of me can still find ways to poke holes in his resume, which is why I've been rooting against him in the playoffs, because like you can win arguments with stupid people just based on what happened, not like just say like, oh, he never was the best
Andre
player on his team,
Iguodala,
won a title,
yeah.
all that shit. It really, I mean, it started, I guess, like when it is pretty ridiculous. When LeBron went to the Heat, I was like pretty excited about it, and which did not seem to be a normal reaction. I just thought it was cool. I know everybody got so mad. I thought it was like kind of sick, and I was like, "Yo, they're gonna do some crazy shit down there."
I did get to see the Heatles live. That was awesome.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah. Against Orlando. So like it was like they played like 17 minutes each because it was over, but it was still awesome.
I saw their first game in the Garden actually, and the Celtics won that game, which was pretty sick.
That's a good one.
They're just cool. But anyway, yeah. So, and then the whole LeBron thing, like, and this is, even when I wasn't betting, I try to consider myself like an intelligent sports fan. And the whole LeBron thing, I think, really got out of control. Even as much as like NBA discourse gets out of control. Like when they didn't win that first title, and it was just like he's the worst player in the league. He's never gonna win a championship.
I was so bad back then. I was like, stop crying. Like, how about cramps, LeBron? Like,
yeah, I mean, everybody
better. Like, yeah, it was real. I was just like typical, like 19-year-old Boston.
So JJ Barea posting him up, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah, and then so I just started rooting for him because I was like, he's clearly like incredible.
Oh,
and it's, like,
this
so
is a
annoying.
LeBron thing.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Brian.
I can't. Sorry to interrupt, but I have to mention the LeBron angle from our perspective because just being in the Chicago area, like
Brutal.
especially on Facebook, it's always like you know they have to always compare him to Jordan, and it's like it's just like I know
the only reason I can't support that is because you have to support Derrick Rose in that argument. So I can't, in good conscience, do that. But I do love how much you guys hate LeBron in Chicago.
Yeah,
it's like a tertiary.
Chicago, it's a sneaky LeBron hate city.
Yeah, I'm in the minority, but like I mean, because I enjoyed, I enjoy watching good players play. Like I don't know.
Very fun to watch live.
In that perspective, like and everyone's just saying like, oh, LeBron couldn't play in the '90s. It's like, well, these guys would adjust to whatever era they were in, especially somebody of that size.
No,
like he would, like even though he's like considered like a flopper now, like you figure that a guy would be adjust.
If they let him do what Lambeer did, they automatically change the rules or try him with a crime because he would decapitate someone.
Yeah,
Larry Bird got hurt doing his driveway. Like if LeBron came down and did what Lambeer did, like that's it. That's curtains, So like
on the spot.
I was gonna say like they would change that rule immediately when he came back. Like that's not those ones always crack me up. And like there are people like Ben Taylor who have done like actual objective analysis on like the different types of fouls called and stuff. And like while there were more like flagrant, bigger, like they didn't have flagrant fouls, like the hand checking and like offensive fouls were really weird back then and like illegal defense and stuff.
So they just didn't play defense as hard, right? From what I can tell, like back in the they fouled people harder. It just didn't seem like
people couldn't shoot from 40 feet.
Yeah,
too. So like you could just like back all the way up, which was pretty cool.
So back to
stand way back here and like, all right, what are you gonna do? Shoot it? Like that's not real.
Like if they saw what Jordan Poole did last night, their heads would explode in 1984.
Okay, so back to the Curry hate.
Sorry. Yeah. So then I just like that. Like after 2011, I was like, this is a little ridiculous. So then I definitely was rooting for LeBron. I like the 2012 finals was rooting for them, and 2013 versus Spurs. And then like I kind of just kept doing that. And then the Warriors came along, and it was like the Steph show. And I was like
2011.
I was like, damn, like this is kind of annoying. Which is funny because I love Steph in college, and like even in like 2012, 13, like when he lit up the Knicks and MSG that night, that was like one of my favorite games to watch. Like I remember me and my friends watching that, like going fucking crazy. He had like 9 threes, which is now like every other night for someone in the NBA. But back then it was like, this is insane. Yeah.
So
And
that,
then,
okay, that checks out. I was trying
so
to figure out what the root cause of the
yeah,
Steph hate was.
and now I think I just lean into it. Like I don't actually hate him. And like, I mean, if I like bet on the Warriors, I'll root for them. But like from like the stupid caveman fan, like legacy side of me, it's fun to root against them in the playoffs for me.
Yeah, I don't
which
have many players that I root like. I think Julius Randle's probably my only one because he took Tatum's.
It's so
And I think
random.
just like he's a bubble, or he's like Anthony Davis. That's the one. Everyone like people think he's like a top 5 player, and it just like I think
after like 11 games in the playoffs in the bubble.
yeah, that is actually I bet a random person. I don't do this anymore. Like I used to when I started betting, I used to be like, all right, yeah, if you think like bet it, and it's just like that's a really dickhead thing to do and lame. But this guy was like convinced that this was Anthony Davis's breakout year. And that the bubble was real, and that he was going to have like I literally bet a guy $20, a stranger on the internet, that Anthony Davis is going to have under a 62% true shooting percentage, which is it's a low point or a high point. I don't know, but it's
a high point. Conviction is key.
That
I'll say.
I was like, I will give you whatever you want in terms of a bet. Like I cannot support you thinking that Anthony Davis is good at basketball. I
don't even care if it's for money. We just need to get this
$5. No, I gotta go. Actually, I literally just thought because I was trying to think if I hate anyone in the NBA and it's Anthony Davis, I'm gonna I'm gonna use that $20 to buy half a beer at one of these playoff games.
I mean, yeah, like, most of the players in any sport that I root against are usually just because I'm rooting for someone else. Like I need to root against Mahomes because like Mahomes like can literally like could in theory get to like 6 Super Bowls. So I really need to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's Josh Allen for me.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. Like everybody just has those things.
That's it.
I like kind of stopped disliking teams. Like
I just missed the origin of it, and it's like very relevant right now. So I needed to know. I'll lean into it too. Like I said, he's a KD merchant.
Never won, no MVP. I mean, the finals.
He's doing Subway commercials. Imagine being a superstar doing Subway commercials.
Imagine if Kyrie Irving didn't get hurt. I mean, imagine if
a lot of people are saying that.
I'm just saying
he couldn't win without Clay and KD in that against the Toronto Raptors.
They're just. I mean, they're so good. And like, I can objectively say they're so much fun to watch, I guess. Like they're more fun to watch and pretty like compare them to like the Rockets teams that were only Harden. And I can see why you'd be like, all right, this is fun basketball. There's like, they're running, everyone's shooting, everybody's involved. There's lots of movement. It's like a whirly bird out there.
You got to have a little hate though. That does make it fun. You can't just be like, everyone is so good.
Oh my God. I love Steph Curry and how he chews on his mouth guard all the time. Like,
I'm going to just clip that specific piece and save it for when
you should see that. You should
just reply to you with that every time.
Well, I will say that like I've been ever since we got like the Peacock subscription, like maybe 2 or 3 months ago, I realized that they had like rights to like old WWF footage. And I will say that I do remember back like in that day of like the early 2000s when I was watching it, that like the bad guys were a lot more fun to watch. They had better, like you just enjoy like hate watching certain people. And I don't know,
sure.
I'm sure that applies
Kurt
to
Angle I remember that.
Different sports. And yeah, Kurt Angle was the best, for me. Like I had like a shirt that said like, "You suck, it's true." That I'd wear to games, and it was good.
Yeah, it is good. Like that's like part of like sports betting in general. That is awesome. I like you talk to people and it's like you still get excited. Like I feel like you bet so much or so often that like it's not exciting. I'm like, if it wasn't exciting, like I probably wouldn't do it. I think like you have to like enjoy it. Like that's the part of sports. And so it comes like we've talked about this a couple times, like the Boston fandom. Like what am I? If my team wins, am I gonna be like handshaking people I don't know on Twitter? Like good game,
good effort,
like great,
man.
yeah,
good. Tried so hard.
It's not. I'm not winning a sportsmanship award after that. Like you got to have some. Like the most fun part about this stuff is the emotion. So
as long as you're self-aware about it too, I think. Just talk your shit.
Yeah, fandom and sports combined is just not a combination for rationality anyway. So
I do think the one last thing on this, it works in sports betting too, because if you think about sports through a sports betting lens and not in like a somewhat try to intelligent way, you're like smart enough to know how it works, and you can also still lean into the fact that fandom is just fun and like rooting for a team is sick. And like if you objectively know that it's like a dumb thing to do, like you don't have control over it, but like you do it with other people, like you're in group chats with people talking about the game, your favorite teams, it's like fun, but you don't have to think like a stupid fan all the time, but you can act like one.
Sure.
And it's I don't know, like the two different ways of view sports can sort of work together there almost,
Yeah.
which is what like yeah, I would probably have, like I don't think I could like do this quite as much if I didn't like watching my teams and like what like watching games. Like I'd probably still bet, but I don't know if I'd be as driven to like do it all the time.
Yeah.
That's
I
it.
think that's a good note to wrap up on.
That's I'd say that's we've hit the good talking points. Is there any last second things you guys wanted to say?
Go Celtics. That's it.
6.
Celtics in 6.
That-
That's it.
If they do play, if game 6 is at home and they're up 3-2, I want to
Okay.
go to the I want to go to the US Open really bad and then just go get hammered and then go right over the Garden.
All right.
And then I
Well,
don't know, probably burn the city down.
I might come
But-
back for that one.
best of luck, guys. I hope.
Yeah, thanks for having us on, Brian.
Yeah,
I
Brian, as
appreciate it.
always,
You can,
thank you for organizing.
when they
and-
lose in 5, you guys can use this against us.
Oh my God, I'll be gone.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. No. Yeah.
I will have deleted my Twitter account at that point, so I don't know how you're going to use it against me, but someone will.
We'll find a
Bro.
way.
Find me
The
on
internet.
LinkedIn.
The internet works in
Me and
mysterious
Lou.
ways. So, all right. Thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
Everyone, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you guys again whenever that is. So, talk to you later.
All right, later.
Thanks, Brian.
Right.
See